enough. I said enough. Another word and you'll all be here till 5 o'clock. Nothing to me, is it? I've got all the time in the world. I didn't even get to the end of the corridor before there was such a din. All the other teachers started opening their doors as much as to say, what the hell's going on? There's someone talking now. Who was it? You? You, Mr. Man? I did not accuse you. I asked you. Someone in the back row? You're the losers, not me. Who was that? Right! Hands on him! Come on, that includes you. Put the comb away. Eyes front and sit up. All of you, sit up. Hands on head and eyes front. You I'm talking to. You'll be tired by the time I finished. Stand on your seat and keep your hands on your head. Never mind what's going on outside, that joker at the back. Keep looking out here. Eyes front, hands on head. Who said move? Nobody said move. Hands on head. Next one to groan stands on the seat. We're going to have 1 minute perfect silence before you go. We have to wait till midnight. That's nice. I like that. Now try to hold it like that till I get my machine gun over here. All right, my fault, little joke. No more laughing. The noise from this class can be heard all over Bristol. Oh, who was that? Whoever did that can open the window before we all get gassed. Wait a minute. 3 of you? What are you, a group? 1 go, 1 nearest the window. The rest of you, eyes front, hands on head. That characteristic performance from our friend near the window means we return to go. Shall I make it 2 minutes? We could have had this sooner. Well, then we shouldn't be wasting time sitting here when we might be. Well, let's all think what we might be doing instead of sitting here when the rest have gone home. We could be yes, eyes front, hands on breasts. Stop the laughter! Who wants to start another minute? And whatever the great joke is that has so tickled your Stone Age sense of humor when all my efforts have failed, say it till you're outside. I'm going to the staff room to fetch my coat, and I want you to be as quiet as mice. No fish till I get back. All right? I don't want to hear a sound. Not a bubble.
Fry?
Let's go to bed.
At 4:45?
Well, I came home early, especially.
It's the usual time.
Yeah, but I was going to keep them in.
Who?
Poor Dean.
Did you say you would?
Yes.
Then why didn't you?
I kept imagining our room, our bed, clothes strewn all over the place,
When are you going to learn?
waves breaking on the rocky shore,
You must carry out your threat.
fireworks in the sky,
They're never going to listen to you if you don't.
champagne bottles going pop. Sugar.
You want bromide.
I want you. It's you I want. I want you. Kitchener, look. I want you.
You should have kept them in.
Well, I did for a bit. Then I went up to the staff room to fetch my coat and suddenly couldn't face them anymore. So I never went back. Wonder how long they sat there.
Brian.
Terry Hodges, Fatty Brent, Glazebrook, the shop steward. He's got a new watch. Oh, and of course, Scanlon. The missing link. Pithecanthropus erectus.
Has he tried it lately?
Well, not with any of the teachers, anyway.
Only that once.
That was the only time it was reported.
Poor girl.
Some of the older women might keep quiet. Hope for more.
Whatever happened to that girl?
Never heard of since.
Not surprising.
Shortest teaching career on record. 35 minutes. No, I don't hate Scanlon anymore. I just stare at him and wonder, is he only a monster of my own imagining?
Certainly is. He strangled a little girl. But that only means he's lonely. We must make him a mate.
No, you take this morning. I was on playground duty sipping my Nescafe, dreaming of a sudden painless road accident that would put an end to it all. Suddenly, aware of the silence, few of the wilder elements sniggering and casting crafty glances, whipped around in time to spot Scanlon sidling into the girl's bar, went to the door and shouted, "That boy out!" Saw this figure zipping up his flies in a panic. Not Scanlon at all.
No?
No, the new supply teacher.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Funny that way.
Not a bit. He didn't know it was the girl's body. Only looks about 13. Even from the front. Dresses like them, too. Why can't he wear the right bloody uniform? Tweedy jacket and leather elbows, so we'd all know whose side he's on.
Never mind. You break up in 2 days.
I broke up years ago. Shall I put my gloves on?
What's the point in starting now? Joe's home any minute.
Well,
Well, she's got to be fed, bathed, exercised, put to bed. You know that.
she can wait.
What?
Well, can't she?
Why should she? Anyway, my rehearsal's at 7, and I promised that I would paint some scenery before that. I shouldn't be late, but your dinner's in the oven, on automatic. Take it out any time after 7. Well, you'd never believe the trouble I had finding a miniature bottle of Kirsch. In the off-license store, they offered me a bottle of Spanish Man Rose instead. Luckily, I was going into town, so I got it there. I had to drop those clothes off at the unmarried mothers. They were only collecting moths.
Collecting moths? The unmarried mothers?
The clothes. The livestock's all been fed. The ginger beer plant, the stick insects, the goldfish.
The bud trigger?
All the plants. Well, don't let the cats in here. I found another flea in here today. I did my oxen collection and watched after Jenny's children. Quite a day, one way or another. What are you thinking?
Wondering if we could send our guinea pig to the family planning club. Or guinea sow, should I say. I've got one now.
If you've had a bad day, why don't you come with me to rehearsal?
Bad day. You should have seen the staff room. Christmas spirit at near breaking point. Excuse me, mate. I was under the impression that was my silly music. Shove off. I beg your pardon? Shove off, matey. Come outside and say that. Grow up. No, I insist. Come on. I say, great tidings of comfort When he brought me his paper chains, he said, "You're not much good at teaching, are you, mate?"
Oh, I should have hit him.
He meant it nicely. I must find something else.
Come with me to rehearsal. It'll do you some good to get out and see some people.
What people? Freddie?
Plenty of whiskey afterwards.
I should want the whiskey first.
All right, first.
If I had to talk to Freddie.
All right.
If I had to see you caper about with mud on your face.
Shall I ring your mother?
Bloody hell, what a swinging prospect. My mother, Freddie,
I seem to remember.
and all that kirsch bubbling away down there.
I seem to remember that it was you who introduced me to Freddie in the first place.
There's Joe.
Remember that. At least I don't sit around coining up epigrams, wallowing in self-pity. At least I do something about it.
You and Freddie together. Yeah.
At least I try to make my life work instead of... Honestly. Oh, get away from the door, then you won't get stepped on.
Here's little Joe, and she's been such a good girl.
Thank you very much. Whee! There we are, then, lovely. Home again. Safe and sound. You've been a good girl? Really good? Lady in the bus said you've been good. Sat by the driver, did you? There's a clever girl. Saw the Christmas trees. Oh, and the shops lit up? What'd you say? Saw Jesus? Where was he? Where was Jesus, you poor softy? I see.
Oh, my great big beautiful darling home at last. Got a great big beautiful kiss for Mommy? Mwah. I'm lovely, she says.
Mad, but lovely.
Has she been a good girl, Dad? Did the lady say?
Very good, Mom. Sat by the driver.
Did you sit by the driver? Did you, lovely?
Saw the Christmas trees, Mom.
Did you see the Christmas trees? What a clever girl.
And Jesus.
What?
Bathed in light of the sky.
She got a screw loose, Dad?
No, Mom.
Seeing Jesus?
On top of the electricity building.
Oh, yes. Oh, for a moment I thought she was off her clump.
Seeing Jesus in a dump like this? No wonder. But no, she's doing all right, they say.
Daddy's pleased you're trying, lovely. What, with your 11 plus on the way?
You want to get into a decent school,
I don't want to be shunted into some secondary modern slump, she says.
like the one where Daddy works.
Share a room with 40 or 50 council house types and blackies.
No, I've had enough of them, she says, at the spastics nursery. You want to go onto the training center. Help to make those ballpoint pens.
I'm trying my hardest, she says.
You keep it up, my girl. Hello, what's this? Well, it's a note from Mrs. Watson.
From the nursery?
School report, Mom. Thank you for the present for Colin's birthday. Which is Colin?
The little boy who has meningitis.
Never stops whimpering?
That's him.
Did you send him many happy returns?
I sent him a card and a cuddly bunny.
It's the thought that counts. Quite a few of the parents remembered when the kitchen ladies baked a lovely cake with 7 candles, and we held up Colin so we could see them burning. Then we all helped him blow them out.
Ah.
The physiotherapist lady came and looked at us today and said Josephine's shoulders show some signs of improvement. She says keep on with the exercises.
Oh, do your homework like a good girl. Daddy will help.
Mummy can't. She's going out for a bit on the side.
Let me call your mother, please.
Hello? What's this? What's this I see? She had a few fits today, but I think it must have been the excitement over Colin's cake.
Oh, dear. Now, why is that, I wonder?
Now, just you listen to me, my girl.
I thought we had them under control.
How do you expect to raise yourself above the general level if you keep having fits?
This is the first for weeks, except an occasional petite mom.
Those council house types down there. What do you think they say? She puts it on. A voice she could cut with a knife. Lady bleeding muck and no mistake. But look at her. She's no better than the rest of us. Just another raver.
Poor kid, poor Blossom.
Spare the rod, spoil the child, Mom.
I don't know why they started.
Welfare state. Life's all too easy these days. Free milk, show jumping, physiotherapy, singing in candles. What singing in candles did we have at her age? Air raids and clothing coupons. If we didn't like that, my mother used to say, "That's all you're getting, my sonner."
That's great, that is. Explains it.
What?
They've run out her anti-convulsion suspension again.
Again?
Excitement over Colin's cake.
nurseries and day centers and barrels by a dirty great fleet of dray horses. And here, in the city pharmacy, you can stand, as I'm standing now, in the nerve center of this great operation of mercy, and watch the myriad craftsmen at their various chores.
Give her the pheno.
Or something less traditional, a bit more in keeping with our forward-looking technological society. A central pumping station, and a vast complex of underground culverts and sluice gates.
Soon be better, my flower.
No, but they'll never stand for it.
Who?
Bristol ratepayers. Cost them a fortune. One pheno.
Here, lovely orange.
Too fond of the ceremony. The bowl.
Oh, there's a clever girl.
New life to dying crafts. Tang of Cooper's apron. Horse brasses in the sun. Dagenham girl piper.
His first special treat, Mommy's got her favorite ice cream for tea.
Gone down now.
Tell Mommy, are you wet? Oh, soaking.
The snappy's dry.
Oh, honestly, Brian, they started doing that again. Leaving the one I sent in the bag and letting her sit in the damp like Joe Egg all day. Her parts get free.
Perhaps she was dry before the fit.
Well, she could have hardly gone all day without a wee.
No.
Will you change her? I must go get ready. There's only been in the cupboard if her parts are free. And if I were you, I should put her on the kitchen floor to change.
I'm not the new nanny.
No, of course not.
I've done it before, once or twice, in the past 10 years.
Brian. Shall I ring your mother
What for?
so we can go out?
Tuesday night, there's nowhere much to go. The zoo's shut. There's a western at the Gauntlet.
Come and see the rehearsal. Well, get drunk if you like. But not too drunk to come home and have me.
Pas de vente.
What?
Pas de vente, non vente.
Seriously, shall I?
Hey, what's it like with Freddy? No, come on. Now, you told me about the others. Well, not all, of
Let
course.
go.
But a sample. A cross
I
section.
shall bite.
The ones that, because of some exceptional feature, stand out from the crowd.
They were all before I met you.
But Freddy's now.
Let go.
What's his specialty?
Even if he wanted to, which he doesn't,
You must think I'm soft.
Freddie would run a mile from a breath of scandal. You know that.
No, but I mean, what's his gift?
Come and ask him.
For example,
Why don't you?
those 4 Americans. You said made you...
What? Where did you get that?
What?
4 Americans.
Wrong?
2 Americans.
Oh.
1 Canadian.
Ah, then the Welshman, the stoker.
He wasn't a stoker. He was a policeman.
Oh, yes. He was shocked because you used a bad word in a posh accent. When it came to getting your frock off, he was so ravenous he tore it.
I wish I'd never told you anything. You were the one who said we should be honest. You told me all about yours first.
All 3. That took an hour. Then for the next few weeks, you made a short list.
You made me.
You must have enjoyed those fellows at the time.
No.
1 or 2.
I told you already.
Why go on with it then?
Once you get to a certain stage with a man, it's hard to say no.
Most women manage it. With me, at any rate. 3 out of God knows how many tens of thousands I tried.
They didn't know a good thing when they saw it.
That's true.
You were the only one who gave me any pleasure.
When you told me that, I was knocked out. I walked around for days feeling like a phallic symbol. She'll stick with me, I thought, because I've got magic supers with added cold start.
You have, yes.
Till Freddy.
Oh, ye
Of
God.
all people,
He's never been near me.
I still think we should be honest, even about him.
He leaves me cold.
And yet you'd rather spend the evening with him than with me.
You were the one who pushed me into this drama lark. You said that I should
What's
get...
his specialty? Does he keep his knack on? All right, lovely. Daddy's here. Oh, did it hurt? Did you bump your nose? Better. Bless you. You look pale, Joe. Those nasty fits? Never mind. Lovely soft hands you got, Joe. Like silk. Ladies' hands. They've never done rough work. Now then, Mom's gone to take her part. Practice her acting. So we'll have a bit of chin wag around the oil heater, chew the fat, watch the jumping. Well, I expect there's jumping. There usually is. Let's see, come dancing. No, no jumping. There's a film about an eminent surgeon in his fight against the injustice in London's East End. I know you can't resist the doctor when you think what they did to her. But first, Daddy get her a lovely tea. Daddy and Joe have a lovely tea, then Joe take a nice hot bath. Play with her ducks. Hear that noise? That's Mummy in the bedroom. Probably taking her clothes off. Might be putting her stockings on. Even changing entirely. Every stitch, naked. Looking at herself in the glass, thinking, have I kept my figure? But I'm not running up those stairs 3 at a time, falling into the bedroom and cringing on the carpet, begging her not to go. No fear. I've done all I can without total loss of dignity. I might have known, once I got her started on amateur theatrics, she'd turn up at every bloody practice. Terrible sense of duty, your mom. But what am I doing talking to you? Might as well be talking to a wall. But no, she is a wonderful woman. My wife. That girl upstairs, up in the bedroom, off in the wings, whoever she is, that is no actress. That is my wife. No, seriously. A truly integrated person. Very rare, that is, as you know. Give you an example. She's disturbed by anything. Not just mentally upset about it. Not only miserable. No, she actually grows ill. Backaches, boils, vomiting. Not pretense. Real sickness. She works as a whole, not in parts. Unlike me, for instance. I'm instant man. Get one for Christmas, endless fun. I made up as I go along with old lengths of string, fag ends, magazine cuttings, film clips, all stuck together with lodges of last week's school lunch. What I mean is, she can't pretend a passion she doesn't feel, whereas I can't sustain a passion to the end of a sentence. I start to cry. And I think, are you mad? Who do you think you are, God? And then things go clang and wheels fall off and people get hurt. It's terrible. You must have felt like this, catching yourself in the mirror, hamming away. Or somebody says, my wife's just been ran over, and you want to burst out laughing. Well, you might say, why not? That's the way you feel. But some people don't like it. So I pretend. You saw me pretend with Sheila. I try to guess which of my emotions appeal to her, and then I sink my teeth. And I don't let go until they're bone dry. Like with Joel there. All right, now you love me. Oh, good. At first I was all doomed, but, well, 10 years. Now I just go through the motions. Sheila, how can I put it in a way that will prevent a sudden stampede to the exit doors? Sheila embraces all living things. She's simple. So simple, she's bound to win in the end. She's a sane enough person to embrace all living creatures. She sits there, embracing all living things. I get my hug somewhere between the budgerigar and the stick insects, which is the reason for all the smutty talk. Calling attention to myself to make sure I get more than my share. Otherwise, I'd have to settle for ice front, hands on heads, and a therapeutic bash once in a blue moon. And I'm too young to die, I tell you. What's that, lovely? What's that crack like? language, I'll introduce you to Scanner. He'll let you hear some language. What a matter. Now then, let's see what Mummy's left to tea. Go and get her tea, change her nappy. Get back, you thieving whores, get back!
One of these days I shall hit him. Honestly. He thinks because he throws a tantrum I'm going to stay home and miss the rehearsal and let them all down. He thinks he's only got to cry to get what he wants. I blame his mother. She gave him the kind of suffocating love that made him think the whole world revolved around him. But he's too intelligent for that, really. So he gets into these patties and depressions. And when he's in one of those, he'll do anything to draw attention to his face. That spider on his face. You all saw that. And all this stuff about Freddie? Yet it was Brian who pushed me into this amateurs in the first place. He said I needed to get out more. Take a rest from Joe. She's no trouble, really. It's Brian. I don't know which is the greatest baby. Watching somebody as limited as Joe over 10 years, I've begun to realize that she's only one kind of cripple. Well, everybody's damaged in some way. There's a limit to what we all can do. Brian, for instance, he goes so high, hits the ceiling, just can't fly any higher, and then he drops to the floor and we get self-pity again. Despair. I'm sure, though, if he could go further, he could become a marvelous painter. That's another reason I joined these amateurs. The thought that he'd be forced upstairs several nights a week and actually put some paint on canvas, even if he isn't any good. He seems to need something to be proud of, something to take his mind off these jealousies of anything or anyone I take to. Friends, relatives, pets, even pot plants. I'm sure it's because they take up time he thinks I could be devoting to him. And Joe. Of course, Joe. Most of all, poor love. Oh, look, you mustn't assume I feel like this in the ordinary way. And even when I am a bit down, I shouldn't normally be talking about it to a lot of strangers. But all this childish temper over Freddie, this showing off, it's more than I can stand. It makes me boil, honestly. But wouldn't you feel the same? That's why I'm telling you this. A lot of complete strangers. But wouldn't it make you boil? Honestly. A grown man jealous of poor Joe.
What are you telling them?
What?
I heard you talking. I heard you mention Joe. Sheila's got this theory about Joe's birth. She doesn't blame the doctors. She blames herself.
I don't say that. I said it wasn't entirely the doctors.
It was because she choked it back.
It was partly that.
Because she slept around.
It was partly because I'd been promiscuous, yes, but my subconscious was making me shrink or withdraw from motherhood, all right.
That vicar had said it was the devil's doing. Why didn't you believe that? It's about as brilliant.
It all comes down to the end to what you believe.
Well, I'll tell you what I believe.
I know what you believe.
They don't. I believe the doctors watched it. There was no other cause. That specialist said as much. He said it had nothing to do with the way you lived before, whether there was a nut in the family, or what kind of fags you smoked.
He didn't say the doctors did it either.
Oh, no. He didn't say that. You've got a good point there. Quite true. He didn't say, he's a shoddy midwife, my colleague. Always was. I'll see he gets struck off the register. Very true. Quite spoils my argument, that.
You're so clever.
He'd only say for certain that it was a chance in a million it would happen again.
We haven't had an opportunity yet to check on it.
It's due to this, of course, that Joe lives at home with us.
She's our daughter.
She was on the way before we married. That feeds the furnace of guilt.
No need to tell him everything.
It was a white wedding.
For my dad's sake. He was a bell ringer and looked forward to the day he'd leave the peal as I left the church. You said you didn't mind.
I didn't. Well, at the reception afterwards, the ringers were the only people worth talking to. All twisted and crippled. Picture them, bouncing up and down at the end of their ropes.
We might have taken them for an omen. The baby came 6 months later. Now, I'd done my exercises and read the antenatal books. Mostly the ones that made it seem as easy as having a tooth filled.
But more spiritual.
Oh, yes. A lot about you sitting by the bed, holding my hand and looking sincere.
Giving lead with shallow breathing.
expect to hear snatches of the Hallelujah chorus.
How long do your labors last? 2, 3 hours? A day? Dilettantes. 5 days.
Yes, from the first pang to the last groan. 5 days.
Now, you'll all be saying, he should have done something. But I didn't know at the time. You don't, do you?
You know now.
Oh, yeah. It was all good experience.
The doctors kept on drugging me.
You were stoned.
I couldn't remember the exercises.
Couldn't even tell me. Just kept on crying.
I couldn't make anyone understand. I couldn't swallow or salivate, so I stayed hungry. Also, I kept hoping when I opened my eyes you'd be there. It was always the midwife or your mother.
Not always.
Nearly always. You were getting drunk outside.
What else could I do?
My speech faculty seemed to have failed me, so I couldn't tell anyone to stop drugging me so I could manage the birth.
Then the new GP would come in to see me with his boyish grin. Tell the truth, I've got the feeling this young shaver's none too keen to join us. And I'd say, all this trouble getting out and he'll spend the rest of his life trying to get back in. And we'd kill ourselves at that and have another scotch.
You never thought it was going on too long?
Oh, yes, but you leave it to them, don't you? My mom taught me to believe in doctors. And during the labor, she set an example of quiet faith.
Yes, and afterwards when Joe was ill, she said she knew all along it was lasting too long.
She always knows afterwards.
The pain was shocking, but the worst was not being able to speak.
By the last day, I thought she was going to die. And I've never told you this, love. Though not normally a religious man, for everyday purposes, making the usual genuflections to MGM and Esso Petroleum. I don't mind admitting it. I got down on my knees and prayed.
Did you really?
Yes.
Not another joke.
No, honestly. I prayed to God. I said, God, well, I've only just found her. The baby doesn't matter. If it's a question of a swap. Then I found I was so drunk I could hardly get to my feet again.
Never mind, your prayers were answered.
Yes, he heard all right. I see him as sort of a manic depressive rugby footballer. And I'm the ball.
By the time the damage was done, they took me back to the hospital. And the next thing I know, they handed me this hairless yellow baby with forceps scars all over her head. She was gorgeous. By the time we got her home, the scars and the jaundice were all gone, and she was in working order. You had a cold.
That's right, yes.
I had to look after you. It was better than having you turn up every day moaning and sniffling.
More than a cold. A flu. A delayed action, I think it must have been. I was quite poorly.
Soon I began to notice these funny turns. We asked our friends who had babies, and they said it was most likely wind. So in the end, we took her to our new GP.
Baby. Doctor. Nice. Bonehead. Bye-bye, Mrs. Zamunum. You rub that in, you'll soon be as right as rain. Next, please. Evening, Mr. Umnum. Feeling any better?
It's morning, doctor. Not very reassuring.
Of course it is.
And we've never been before.
No?
We're new to the district.
What seems to be the trouble?
Funny turns, face making.
Say
Not me, the baby.
Nothing much wrong with this little laddie.
Lassie.
Lassie, funny turns you say. How would you describe them?
Frightened.
No, I meant, what form do they take?
Oh, blinking with her eyes, working with her tongue, clenching her fists, and then going all in.
Oh, funny turns indeed at your age. Saucy Baker, we're not amused.
Well, doctor, what do you think it is?
When?
Well, that's what our friend said.
Always wise to get a second opinion. Have you tried bright water?
Yes, of course.
Oh, my old mother used to swear by it. Cure anything, she used to say. Well, let's see what we've got in here. Ah, this'll put a stop to it. Came in the post this morning. The makers praise it very highly.
Doctor, I wish you could see one of these terms.
Oh, I've seen them, dear. Got 3 great monsters of my own.
Oh, I am sorry.
What?
All your children being...
No, I mean great thriving brutes, not monsters. No, First baby?
Yes.
Well, dear, it's like this. You're throwing an awful lot of gubbins down the old cake hole there. It's like running in a new car. Till all the tablets and contact breakers get adjusted to the absolute valve, you take it easy. Give them a chance. Well, it's the same with these chaps. Let's see. 3 times daily after meals? How often are you feeding?
Every 4 hours.
4 into 24 goes. Jolly good. 6 times a day.
Oh, look, there's baby one now. No.
I've got a waiting room full of people, dear. You try with this and come back if there's no improvement in, say, a week. Make sure you winter well, and don't fret. They're hardy little devils. Bye-bye, Mrs. Summonum. 3 days later. Next, please. Well, hello, Mrs. Summonum.
Oh, doctor.
Sit down, please.
But this
Just a minute, I'll get your card. Didn't I say come back in a week? Why so soon?
She's gone into a coma.
Ah, well, did you try the medicine?
She won't take anything. She hasn't fed for 2 days.
Uh-huh, mm-hmm. Give me the Children's Hospital. Quick. No need for alarm, dear, just a routine inquiry. Your husband with you?
In the waiting room.
Look, I'd like you to take a shove. He had a baby, girl?
Yeah.
Baby girl, offered chow and failing to respond to any stimuli, whatever. Got a car?
No, I haven't.
Hello? No car. Any chance of an ambulance? Understood. Thank you. Bye.
There's something seriously wrong, isn't there?
Don't start worrying, dear. Look at it this way. You know when a starter motor gets jammed? Seemed serious at the time, but put it in second gear and rock the whole chute back and forth, and she's soon as right as rain.
But we haven't got a car.
What I want you to do, you know the kiddies' hospital? I want you and your husband to go along there, not forgetting to take the baby. You catch a bus at the end of the street, and you desperandum. Bye-bye, Mrs. 32.
What?
The bus number, 32. Struth.
On the bus, I said to Brian, I've got a feeling we shan't bring her home. But of course, as you know, we did, eventually.
Every cloud is a jet black line.
I stayed with her in the hospital for a few days and then left her there having tests. I had to come home and look after Brian, who had contracted hepatitis. Oh, it was painful.
Yes, it was.
It was painful not feeding. So in the end, a lady from the clinic came and drew it off with sort of a glass motor horn. After a few days, they called me to collect Joe, by which time we gathered she wasn't ever going to amount to much. But I was determined to know the best that we could expect, and the worst. Our new GP was German or Viennese, I'm not sure which.
Well, madam, this baby of yours has now been thoroughly tested, and we need the beds rather badly, so it is better to take her home. I think I can promise she won't be any trouble. Keep her well sedated, and you'll hardly know she's there.
But doctor,
Yeah?
can you tell me the results
Results?
of the test?
Which ones? There were so many. Electroencephalographs, 3-dimensional X-ray, blood, urine, and stool analysis, these business, but the needles and the
Is
fontanelle.
that why her hair's been shaved off?
Well, of course.
She's just begun to grow it. And the needles, did they make a scar on her forehead?
Scar?
Yes.
At 9, this was a baby biopsy to take a sample of the brain tissue.
Oh, that's relief. For a moment, I thought you drilled a hole in her skull to let the devil out.
Sounds good. Did you try it? Oh, my colleague says we don't do that anymore. Pity. Well, if you'll excuse me.
But doctor,
Daughter und Blitzen.
what can she do?
Do? She can do nothing at all.
Will she ever?
Madam, let me try and explain to you what your daughter is like. Do you know what I mean when I say your daughter was a vegetable?
Yes, you mean your daughter was a vegetable.
Well, still is. Always will be. I have trouble with English words.
But when people ask me what kind of cripple my daughter is, should I say she's a vegetable?
You want a verb for her? You can say she's a spastic, dystonically see what? So,
Right?
some lines tied up, some waiting to be used. Suddenly,
Incoming call?
exactly, you plug in.
Universal shafting?
What?
It's the firm I used to work for.
You never put that in before.
I thought I would this time.
Universal shafting. Oh. But at that moment, another incoming call. You panic and plug him into the first one and leave them talking to each other. And you answer an extension, and he asks for the railway station. But you put him on to the greatest results, and they all start buzzing and flashing, and it's too much. You flip your lid and pull all the lines out. Cap. Now, there's your epileptic beat. Grand, petit, small, according to the stress, the number of calls. All right?
But doctor!
God in Himmel! I am very busy man, Mrs. Unknown.
I know, you must
Yours
be,
is
but-
not the only piping in the country.
I know.
There's one born every 8 hours. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. Not all as bad as this case, of course.
Isn't there anything we can do?
But you're bored. You must feed her, wash her, change her nappies, keep her warm just like any other mother.
But for how long?
Who can tell? Anything can happen. You know that. Diphtheria, pneumonia, whooping cough, Colorado beetle.
Oh, that's terrible. Colorado beetle?
I only just thought of that.
That's terrible.
So, what happened then? We brought him home.
And they passed the can back to our local GP.
The piping.
He had to supply us phenobarbital to keep us happy, and used to come by once a week to explain Joe's fits, in layman's terms.
You didn't find out much?
About fits? No, but I did learn a lot about distributors and contact breakers.
Or what happens at a crossroads when the traffic light fails?
But the time came when we asked whose fault it was.
Which is when he suggested the vicar might call.
Yes, the vicar. So kind, sincere, so concerned and upset at the sight of Joe. Or her fits were unusually bad that day, so we put her in the bedroom and had our chat in another room. Well, here we are. Oh, do take a few.
Oh. She's a beautiful child.
Oh, yes, isn't she?
It's tragic. Tell me, when you knew there was nothing to be done, how did you feel?
Well, of course you find out gradually, not all at once. And then the time comes when you finally accept it, and that's, oh, very nasty. You keep saying, why me? I don't know about any of the other mothers, but I kept saying, why me? Why us? All day long. And you get tired of that. So you say, why not me?
Indeed. You learn humility. You recognize that we are all surely in a vale of tears, and that you are no exception.
Well, I recognize that I've been worse. I've been promiscuous, you see. All kinds of men. I felt I was responsible for Joe being punished.
No.
Oh, no, I don't mean that either. I held the baby back out of guilt.
My dear, you mustn't believe this. Plenty of women who slept around afterwards become splendid mothers. Premarital intercourse is no longer considered an obstacle to being taken into the fold.
No?
Haven't you read our publications lately? Oh, you should. The good old AVI is nowadays a far more swinging place than you seem to suppose.
I see.
Oh, surely. Where the action is.
I've never committed adultery.
Well, there you are. That's splendid. Fabulous. Crazy. What was your husband's reaction to the child?
He used to say, think of something worse. Of course, that's easy. Joe could have grown and developed into a real person before it all happened. Or she could have been some kind of intelligence bastard without the use of her limbs. Which is worse, I think, than being a kind of living parsnip.
Quite. You count your blessings.
Yes.
And that gives you fortitude.
No, but it's something to do. When you're up against a disaster of this kind, an act of God, you feel so numb and you must do something, otherwise you...
Give up hope.
Yes. My husband doesn't feel the need to make sense of anything. He lives with despair.
Did you tell him that?
Why not?
Bit saucy.
Well, don't you?
Can't argue now.
He says I shouldn't look for explanations.
He doesn't believe in God?
His own kind of God, a sort of be footballer.
It's a start. A basis for argument.
He doesn't like me praying.
You have been praying?
Well, what else can I do? I look at that flawless little body, those glorious eyes, and I pray for some miracle to get her started. If only we knew the right key and combinations to get her moving. Well, do you think the story of Sleeping Beauty was about a spastic?
Who can say indeed? My dear, your child's sickness doesn't please God.
No. Then why does he allow it?
How can we know?
Then how can we know it doesn't please him?
We don't. Only guess. It may be that disease and infirmity are due to the misuses of freedom he gave us. Perhaps they exist as a stimulus to research.
Research?
Well, against infirmity and disease.
But if he didn't permit infirmity and disease, we shouldn't need research.
But he does. So we do. My dear, the devil is busy day and night. God does his best. But we are not much help. Now and then some innocent bystander blunders into the crossfire between good and evil and... Oh. Or if you can imagine, a poisonous blight that settles over an orchard of many
No,
different varieties.
please, no more parables. I've heard so many from the doctors.
But how can I explain without imagery?
I've misled you. I don't want explanations. I've asked the people who should be able to explain and they couldn't.
What do you want?
Magic.
I was just coming to that. Once or twice over the years, we've had in this parish children like your daughter.
Just as bad as Joe?
Oh, quite as bad, I'm sure. Now, for those poor innocents, I did the laying on of hands.
What's that?
A simple ceremony performed in your own home. A few blessings, a prayer or two, a hymn, an imposition of hands. Nothing flashy.
Well, who'd be there?
You, your husband, anyone you'd like.
My husband.
Yes, and it sounds as though he needs instructions. His prayers would hardly help us if addressed to a manic depressive rugby footballer.
No.
God might feel affronted.
Yes.
After all, he's only human. No, he's not. How silly of me.
Well, maybe you can have a word with him over a pint.
Ah, with your husband, yes. Well, not that there's anything wrong with rugby. Scrum half the years myself. Just that I feel one shouldn't make a religion of it.
With the other children, did you have any luck? Well, did God, you know.
There was one boy, no better than Joe, recovered so quickly after I'd done the laying on a few times, the medicals confessed themselves bewildered. And he's 12 now, and this spring he was the runner-up at the Southwest Area Tap Dancing Championships.
Oh, how fantastic.
Happy feet, I've got those happy feet. Give me a low-down beat.
Do you really think you could? Work a miracle?
Oh, not me, my dear. If a miracle happens, it's only through me. But remember Jairus' daughter. Damsel, I say unto thee, arise. Who knows? Perhaps in a few years' time, we shall see little Joe. Animal crackers in my soup, lions and tigers, loop-de-loop.
But you wouldn't have it. He was a good man, kind and sincere.
He was, yes.
And that boy was cured.
Certainly improved. And yes, he was the runner-up in the Southwest Area Tap Dancing Championships. But he never had been as bad as Joe.
I don't care.
I looked into
You
it.
shouldn't
I
have.
spoke to people.
But where's the harm? What else did we have?
Nothing.
Well,
I'd rather have nothing than a lot of lies.
you're unusual.
First, he'd have done it for us. Then he'd have brought in a few of his mates to give the prayers more whoosh, more pow. Then before you know it, he'd have us doing it in the church, floated over by all those death watch beetles like the victims of a disaster. I'm sure it was best to stop it then later on, after he raised your hopes. Sheila... Anyway, if that vicar had got her moving, she'd only have one personality. As it is, we've given her dozens over the years.
As soon as we were admitted to the Freemasonry for spastic parents, we began to notice that Joe had even less character than the rest of the children. So we began to make them up for her.
some never really suited.
No. Like the concert pianist dying with TB.
Nor the girl who was tragically in love with a darky against her parents' wishes.
That was based on, would you let your daughter marry one?
I used to like the drunken bag who'd throw bottles at us if we didn't fetch her gin and pipe tobacco.
But they were all too active. The facial expressions weren't right.
The one that stuck was the coach tour lady. Powder pink felt hat, white gloves, Cuban heel shoes, swagger coats.
And seasick pills in her handbag in case there was a lot of twisting and turning.
She hates council houses and foreigners.
Loves the Queen.
And Jesus. She sees him as sort of an eccentric English gentleman. A sort of Lawrence of Arabia.
Very disapproving of pleasure.
Not all pleasure. A nice Julie Andrews film with tea afterwards.
Tea in the Odeon Cafe.
Nothing nicer. Which reminds me, I'm supposed to be giving her tea. And this play we started doing.
We got sidetracked.
She'll have something to say to me. She'll have me on the carpet. Nice thing leaving the table before you finish eating, leaving me stuck here like Joanne.
I join in these jokes to please him. If it helps him live with her, I can't see the harm, can you? He hasn't any faith she's ever going to improve. Where I have, you see. I believe even if she showed improvement, Bride wouldn't notice. He's dense about faith. But faith isn't believing in fairy tales. It's just being in a receptive frame of mind. I'm always on the lookout for some sign. Well, one day when Jo was, about 12 months old, I should suppose, she was lying on the floor, kicking her legs about, and I was doing the flat. I had made a nice tower of 4 bricks, colored bricks, plastic ones, on the rug near her head, when I got on with my dusting. But when I looked again, I saw that she had knocked them down. So I set them up again, and this time I watched her. First, her eyes, usually moving in all directions, must have glanced in passing at the bright colors. Then the arm, this side, began to show real signs of intention. Her fingers started scrunching and clenching with the effort. The other arm held here like that. Didn't move. At all. You see the importance? For the first time, she was using one arm instead of both. Well, must have taken about, 10 minutes, strenuous labor to reach them with her fingers. Then the arm got near and jerked away, and she pulled down the tower again. I can't tell you what it was like, but you can imagine, can't you? Several times her hand very nearly touched the tower and then got jerked away in a spasm, and she'd try again. She had a will. She had a mind of her own. As soon as Bri came home, I told him, and I think he said something stupid like, well, that's great, let's put her down for piano lessons. But as soon as he tested her, putting piles of brick on both sides of her, both arms, and sometimes even out of her reach so that she had to stretch to get them, well, of course he saw that it was true. It wasn't much to wait for, one arm movement completed. And even that wasn't surefire. She'd fall asleep. The firelight would distract her. Sometimes the effort would even bring on a fit. But more often than not, she'd manage it. And a vegetable couldn't have done that. Visitors never believed this. They hadn't the patience to watch very long. And I remember being amazed. I was stunned because they thought I shouldn't deceive myself. For one thing, it wasn't deception. Besides, what else could I do? We got very absorbed in these daily games. I bought her bells and colored balls and a Kelly, those clowns that won't lie down. Then she got very sick. Caught some bug. Had fit after fit, which amounted to a complete relapse, the grand mal, not the others. And she was over it. We tried again, but she couldn't even seem to see them. That was when Bri lost all interest. I still try, though of course I don't bother telling him. I'll tell him when something happens. I wonder if he ever imagines what she'd be like if her brain worked. I do. And Bri's mother's always saying, wouldn't she be lovely if she was running about? Which makes Bri hoot with laughter. But I think of it. Perhaps it's just being a woman. Mrs. Stevens. chaplain went to prayer, taught the ladies how to dare. Just let me get the lights on. Oh, he's not in here. He must be working. Miracles never cease.
Not here.
He must be working in the attic.
We're going to bed.
10 o'clock.
Well, perhaps he's hiding. No? Working.
Gorgeous room.
Oh, Pam, no.
Absolutely gorgeous. Not the room so much, what you've done with it.
Well, it cost absolutely nothing.
It's terribly POU, isn't it, darling?
How's that?
POU, people like us. That's sideboard, for instance.
Oh, 12 and 6.
No.
In a country sale.
Absolutely gorgeous. I'm green, aren't you?
Yes, but how many coats of paint did you take off?
Oh, 3. Cream, brown, and green.
Lord. Plebs in their laboratory colors.
Freddie, you don't feel I bullied you
What?
into coming back here. Oh, sit down, Pam, do.
No, why?
I feel I did. Crying, carrying on like that. I've been going hot and cold ever since. Don't tell Bri, will you?
What?
How I cried.
Not if you say so.
Please. How do you like your coffee?
Half and half. It's nothing to be.
Half and half?
Black, please.
It's nothing to be ashamed of. Wish I knew how to give way more to my emotions. Must be years since my waterworks were turned on.
Hope so, too.
It's an enviable capacity.
Gives me the creeps, a man in tears.
That's why you can give so much on the stage.
Was it all right?
All right. Was it all right? A bit more than all right, Ducky.
No, truly.
Truly, an electric evening.
It felt awful.
Pam, you saw it. Was it awful?
Gorgeous. You were absolutely gorgeous.
Well, it is a lovely part.
You draw on deep wells of compassion.
You are sweet. Bri, I'm making coffee if you want some.
Clever, these. Done by Brian, you know.
That was good about bullying you.
What?
I nearly fell out when she said that.
Afraid I'm not with you.
Bully you? You were so damn keen to get in here, you nearly fell out of the car.
I fell from the car because my ankle was caught in the safety belt. That yob on the motorbike nearly went over me.
Give me a match, will you?
Darling, I thought you wanted to help these people.
Not me, darling.
They need help. We can afford to give it. You've been smoking like a furnace all night.
And all day, I always smoke when I'm bored.
Don't stay if you're bored.
What do you mean?
Well, your car's outside.
Well, what about you?
I'll ring for a cab when I'm ready.
I don't see a phone here, do you?
For crying out loud, if you're bored, go home.
I'm bored there too all day.
Then interest yourself in someone else for a change. Sheila, for instance. We've done a lot for Sheila, darling. It mustn't stop now.
You, not me.
Well, I'm not the sort to sit around making sympathetic noises and doing sweet FA. So naturally, as soon as I heard she'd been on stage, I saw the way to help. Got her down to join the players. Friendly crowd, nice atmosphere, worked like a dose of salts. So well, in fact, poor old Brian's gone slightly hatchet. Thinks I'm getting my end away with Sheila.
Hardly surprising. He left holding the baby.
Exactly.
Literally.
Yes, tragic, which is why I'm here. A, to tell them there's nothing in it. B, get them both to see sense about the poor kitty. And C, to give poor Brian back an interest in life.
It's gone 10 now. What sort of thing did you have in mind?
What for?
To give him back an interest.
Ah, I thought for a starter, get him down to see his wife in the play.
Of course you're joking.
No,
You told me you couldn't stand acting.
part of his chosen image. If he loves the woman, and he
She
claims
isn't
he
even
does.
any good at it.
You shut up!
Well, is she? He'll see in a flash that you're giving her charity, and he's hardly the kind of man
I think I know him a shade better than you. We were at school together.
Same school at the same time. I wouldn't exactly call that together.
Some truth in that. He was always in the backward classes, spent his time in the back rows breaking wind and so forth.
Freddie.
Well, he did, and there was no reason for it. He was brainy enough, just got in with the wrong crowd. No, that sounds reactionary, but you've only got to look at him. Halfway through his life, and no degree, no future, not much past, coping with the arse end of a comprehensive school and driving a 15-year-old popular.
Ginger Cat didn't come in here?
Haven't seen it, no. Want to help me?
No thanks.
Not that my position's anything to boast about. I just took over the factory where Dad left off.
Not quite, darling. You worked wonders.
Only because I'm dead keen. But I'm not as bright as Brian, not nearly as talented. That's what's so galling to me as a socialist, the waste. Since school, as a matter of fact, I saw nothing of him until 6 months ago, on a train to town. I leaned over and said, "Dun spiro spero mean anything to you?"
Let's say it doesn't to me.
Our school motto, while I live, I hope.
It's Squaresville, darling.
I am a bit Squaresville. Anyway, he couldn't get away and we had a good old bellyache. Told me all about his poor kitty and how Sheila was obsessed with her. Now keen he wants to get her back in the swim.
Sheila.
Yes.
Not the weirdie.
The what?
You know.
Don't call her a weirdie, darling.
I know, darling. It's absolutely boring. But she is, though, isn't she?
Try to imagine that one of ours has turned out like that.
Darling, they're absolutely gorgeous. How could you?
I don't want to sound authoritarian or fascist, but there's only one useful approach to any human problem, and that's a positive one. No use saying, this is no way to live, in every night with a hopeless cripple, no use at all. Same with problem teenagers. You don't say, naughty boy, go stand in the corner. You say, get hold of these nails and a hammer. Then you're in business. Well, well.
Nice surprise, Fred. Hello, Pam. Nice having company. Stuck in here every night like Joe A.
Like who?
Joe A. My grandmother used to say sitting about like Joe A, which meant she had nothing to do.
We've been here ages, didn't you hear?
I was miles away.
In the attic.
In a saloon, painting Wild Bill Hickok. Posed for this just before sitting down to his last poker game. Look at his pose. He fancied himself. And the gun? His favorite. They shot him with that.
Very good. It really is. Very good. And this one? From the same series?
Ah, that's a story picture. Where's the bleeding bugle call? The beleaguered fort holding out for the cavalry that never comes. A few rounds left, Sioux closing in, inset. Cavalrymen smiling for the recruiting picture. Bit preachy.
Why not? It's a message.
I'd rather have the pure heroic image myself. Like this one. The thalidomide kid, fastest gun in the West. On the slightest impulse from his rudimentary arm stunts, the steel hands fly to the holsters. He spins on solid rubber wheels and
It's a bit too sick for me. Give me a good message anytime.
what's he doing here? Hi, Pam. I was going to do Geronimo tonight, but Joe had to be attended to. And by the time I got her to bed, it hardly seemed worth blacking up for her.
Oh, Brian, you've been painting.
I wore my own clothes.
Fancy saying that. I want you to paint. That's the only reason I take these parts.
How did it go? The practice.
Oh, blood, sweat, and tears, you know, but it's coming.
Did you mention Joe to
outsider.
No, why?
Like, just remember, you're a socialist. So many places you've got to boycott. Worse than entertaining a royal crown.
I don't go for that. Misguided. A bull against fascism, apartheid, very likely. All you heard is some poor peasant.
3 cognac coming out. Monsieur. Madame. Ham. Oh, go on. Come on. Go on. All right. Please yourself.
Oh, Brian, your shoes!
What?
You wore your teaching shoes and look, they're covered in paint.
Spots.
Just look at them. Freddie, what would Pam say if you got paint on your office shoes?
I'm sorry. Honest,
You
love.
won't get it off.
I'll get it off.
Why don't you think? Go and change them. Go on.
It's done now, and I'm not painting anymore.
As though you couldn't change your shoes.
How's the teaching, Brad?
Oh, keep them off the streets, you know. Eyes front, hands on hips.
You still don't like it?
It's not exactly goodbye, Mr. Chips.
All the same, I envy you. Often wish I'd been a teacher.
Oh, instead of a rich, powerful industrialist. Yes, it must be lonely.
Rich. Where do you get the idea I'm rich?
Not rich.
Comfortable.
Comfortable, yes. Not rich.
Nor powerful. You've been watching too much telly. No, hamstrung's near the mark. I'm like a last-ditch colonial running things till the natives have got enough know-how to take the reins.
That's right. Don't know what the world's coming to.
How are things on the home front, Brad?
Oh, much the same, you know.
Stuck in like Joe A?
Yeah.
Look, perhaps I'm rushing in where angels fear to tread.
You always do.
But why don't you see all the doctor's money can buy until you want another baby? To put it bluntly, ask why you're not having one.
Oh, we've had fertility counts. Is that what you mean?
You've done that?
Yes, she was A-. I was B+. Must concentrate more.
Well done. I admire your nerve. Most people wouldn't fancy knowing for sure.
No, especially men. Our doctor had an ex-major who turned really nasty when they told him he was subfertile. He kept saying, but I was in the Normandy landings.
I demand a recount.
Poor fellow. Oh, absolutely terrifying. How about boosters?
What?
Fertility boosters.
No.
I know a gynecologist in London did so well by a friend of mine, his wife supplied to be sterilized.
Georgina?
Lavinia. Shall I fix an appointment?
I don't mind.
If all else fails, I'll get the adoption machinery moving. Takes some time as a rule, but I can put some ginger on the right people, get them moved to the top of the in tray. Always back out later if you find it hit the spot. So, whatever happens, at least you have a proper working child.
2 children instead of 1?
She won't like it, Mom.
She likes to rule the roost, Dad.
Surely, my dear, you can see you're only prepared to give up your life to little Joe because there's no one else. Once you've got a normal, healthy baby looking up at you, smiling at you. Does she smile?
She used to. Now and then.
Often. Often.
A real baby will smile every time you look at her. And she'll cry, too, and keep you up at night, and walk, and talk, and crawl.
Yes, I've seen them. What then?
Well, then, at least you'll be in a position to decide
What?
whether to let Joe go into a residential school.
We've tried that, too.
Oh,
Putting her away, yes.
don't call it that.
Well, what else is it?
She worried all the time. Wouldn't let her stay.
wonderful place. There are prisons, you know, not these days. They're run by loving and devoted teachers. Hideously underpaid, but I'm doing what I can in that direction.
I don't care how good the doctors and nurses are. She knows. She was ill in that place.
Change it, Di.
She was pining.
This isn't a hospital, it's a special school.
How's the time going, Pam?
A private house, trees all around.
There was this fabulous article in Nova about it. Do you remember?
No.
And if she improved, she could join their activities.
Activities?
Painting, wheelchair gardening, speech therapy.
Better not tell her that. She thinks she's very nicely spoken. One thing she does pride herself on, eh, Mom?
She wouldn't go to one of those places, even if you put some ginger under them. We've seen the places she'd go to. No private house, Dad. No palladium asylum with acres of graceful parklands.
No Victorian Gothic even, Mom.
Army surplus, like a transit camp.
Except they're not going anywhere.
No, Freddie. I'm sorry, honestly. Thank you for trying, but I shall have to look after her until the day she dies.
Or until you do.
Yes, whichever's first.
Is that possible?
What?
She could outlive you?
Well, we knew one. Man of 76. Just joined the Boy Scouts.
They wouldn't have many longer in the cups.
These jokes. May I say my piece about these jokes? They've obviously helped you see it through, a useful anesthetic. But isn't there a point where the jokes start using you?
I thought we were going to speak to Bill.
Please, this first. Isn't that the whole fallacy of the sick joke? It kills the pain but leaves the situation just as it was. Look, when we met again, how many? 6 months ago? You used, I remember, a striking metaphor describing Sheila's state of mind. You said a cataract had closed her eye, like your mother's neck curtain screening out the world outside.
Did I say that?
It struck me as so bloody ass.
So bloody smug.
But it was true, don't you see? And now, in my opinion, it's all gone arse over tip. Sheila's cured and you've caught the cataract. Shoot me down from all the cock, just trying to strip down the essentials, thinking aloud.
I wonder, could you think more quietly?
Am I shouting? Sorry, I tend to raise my voice when I'm helping people.
Just that I've got a splitting headache.
All right. When I see a young couple giving up their lives for a lost cause, it gives me the screaming habdabs. As a socialist, the waste. I think to myself, I don't care. I am my brother's keeper, I bloody well am.
Thanks. That's much quieter.
Another joke, another giggle.
Come on, Freddie, let's
The
go.
whole issue's a giggle. I throw you a lifeline and you giggle. The whole country giggling its way to disaster.
She broke down tonight.
What?
Pam,
You said you wouldn't.
In a flood of tears. Come on.
because she can't cope anymore with your suspicions and jealousies. So I said I'd set you straight on 1 or 2 points.
Wasting your breath, darling.
A, we're not going to bed together.
Scab.
B, it's hardly likely because A, she loves you. B, I love Pam. And C, we've got 3 smashing kids.
Darling.
And I'm hardly likely to throw all that away for a bit on the side. However gorgeous the bit may be. And though I'm not a practicing Christian, I think I know my duty.
Yes, but
Fred,
Fred.
Squaresville or not, I happen to believe in duty.
Terribly sweet.
I hardly know how to say this now, after your masterly dismissal of jokes. But the whole idea was just another sick fantasy. I know you've never touched her, leave alone gone to bed.
He's a nut.
I just wanted to bring back the magic to our marriage. Stir it up. An emotional aphrodisiac.
If you ever try that with me, I'll leave you.
I may be Squaresville, but I'm not
time of the night? The neighbors won't be able to hear the telling.
Oh, she loves the carols. Let me fetch her.
No, we were just going.
But you've never seen her. Wouldn't you like to?
I'd love to.
It's 20 past 10.
Your partner's gone to bed.
Your train in the morning.
What train? Not tomorrow.
I thought it was tomorrow.
No, darling. You'd like to see her, wouldn't you?
Love to. Give me a match.
Sheila, don't.
What?
You'll get lung
You're
cancer.
my lungs.
I forgot to tell you what happened while you were out.
What?
Shall I tell you?
Happened where?
Here. First, I fed Jo. She was constipated. She hadn't been for weeks. So I chose a nice tin of strained prunes. What my grandmother used to call black-coated workers. They have to be strained still because her teeth are a bit stumpy. And after I got that lot down and had it by myself, read the paper. She kept on having little fits and whimpering, so I plunked her into the nursery. I thought to myself, perhaps the spasms hurt. So I tried to loosen them with exercises.
Well, the constipation hurts her.
Well, the spasms in the back, between the shoulders. Sheila got this method of breaking it down from a lady wrestler she met at an Oxfam coffee party.
A physiotherapist.
You take her arms and wrap them across her chest, like so, and hold them there very tight. Well, then you push your head right forward and down until her chin's rammed in between her collarbone, as though you were trying to make a parcel. I don't know whether it's of any use, but I faced the fact long ago that I enjoy it. Find myself smiling when she cries. At least it's a reaction. But tonight she wouldn't stop, even after I let her go.
Those fits upset her.
So I undressed her and applied a suppository, put a rubber sheet underneath and doubled her up like a book, pressed on her stomach to help, and it waxed over half an hour, I should think. She finally managed number 2.
Oh, good. That was bothering her. Poor love.
When it was all out, she started that gulping and lip smacking, stretching her arms, opening and closing her blind eyes. The grand mal. I thought to myself, that's it. All you can do, pain and fits, the lot. And now for the first time in 10 years, I thought. Is it ever worth it?
Perhaps it isn't.
Worth what?
The effort.
We've got no choice.
Of course you have the special school.
Anyway, when the first was over, I put her down. When stood behind her, put a cushion over her mouth and nose, and pressed down and held it there while I counted 100. There was no struggle. It was very peaceful.
What?
When it was all over, I took the cushion away and I said, "Nurse, you have seen nothing here. We are in this together." I looked up to see the nurse throw off her cape, revealing the burly figure of Inspector Blake's Scotland Yard.
Honestly, Brian.
You almost believed me, didn't you?
No, almost. I did.
No silly jokes. Is she all right?
Yes.
I'm going to see her.
Were you relieved at all? Even a little bit when you thought I'd done it?
Of course not.
Not even a teeny weeny drop relieved to think that was all over?
Oh, don't be silly. Honestly, Brian.
How about you?
What?
Were you relieved at all?
Of course not. Horrified.
Because it would be murder?
You can't take life, man.
Her life, what is it?
I don't care.
You've never seen her.
I'd like to see her.
You shall in a minute.
Darling,
She's not alive.
past
What
10.
can she do?
It doesn't matter.
Asphyxiation delayed 10 years by drugs.
Darling.
She should be put away.
Everyone's always saying, do something. When I make a suggestion, it's all wrong.
If all you can suggest is murder, yes!
Living with Sheila, you get to welcome things. Life burgeoning in every crack. Flora, fauna, gawping goldfish, budgies, busy lizzies, cat's fleas.
I knew I'd been itching.
Fleas from Sydney and Beatrice Webb. We're not sure which. When the Tom kid was born, Sheila wanted to call him Dick. But I drew the line there. Standing on the back steps, lasting at night, shouting, "Dick! Dick!" Might have got killed in the rush.
There are one or two
Sheila
things.
embraces all living things. She never embraces Freddy.
There are one or two great moral commandments, and in my view, they're the only hope we got against chaos. Love thine enemy, thou shalt not kill. Do you know how the final solution of the Jewish problem began? In the mental hospitals. It's only a step from there to Auschwitz.
Darlene, it's 10:30.
You're like a blasted speaking clock. On the third stroke, P, P, P.
Oh, charming. Wasn't my idea coming back here in the first place. But once Freddy sets eyes on a lame dog, you might as well talk to the moon. I keep looking at that door, thinking any moment she's gonna come through with that. Poor Weirdy. I know it's awful, but it's one of my, things. I can't stand anything NPA. We're none of us perfect, non-physically attractive. Old women in bathing suits, skin diseases, and cripples. And Rotown house-looking men who spit and have hair growing out of their ears. No good. I just can't look at them. I know Freddy's right about Hitler. And of course, that's awful. But still, I can't help sympathizing with Brian. Can you? I don't mean the way he described. I think it should be done by the state. And so should charity. Then we might have an end to all those hideous dolls in shop doorways with irons on their legs. Freddy won't hear of it, of course, but then he loves a lame dog. Every year he buys so many tickets for the spastic raffle that he wins the TV set. And every year he gives it to an old folks home. He used to try taking me along on his visits, but I said it wasn't me at all. He gave up. Ugh. One place we went, there were these poor freaks with, enormous heads and so on, and you just feel, put them out of their misery. Well, they wouldn't have survived in nature. It's only modern medicine, so modern medicine should be allowed to do away with them. A committee of doctors and do-gooders, of course, to make sure there's no funny business. And if I say gas chamber, that makes it sound horrid, but I do mean put to sleep. When Freddy gets all mealy-mouthed about it, I say, look, darling, if one of our kids was dying and you knew they had a cure and it had been discovered by the Nazi laboratories, would you refuse to let them use it? I certainly wouldn't. I love my own immediate family, and that's all. Can't cope with anything more. I want to go home and see them again. They may not be the most hardworking, well-behaved geniuses on Earth, but no one in the right mind could say they were NPA. Freddy, I'm going. You can get a taxi.
Oh, the carolers have stopped.
Stop. Yeah.
This little Josephine?
This is Joe. Say hello to Uncle Freddy.
Hello, Joe. What do you know?
Not much, I'm afraid. And Auntie Pamela?
She's got really rather pretty face, hasn't she?
Well, she's very PLU when you get to know her. Aren't you lovely?
I'm lovely, she says.
You're strangely passive tonight. But you did forget her medicine.
You'd be strangely passive, she says, if you'd been bidding and crying and doing dupes.
But her eyes are hardly open.
Who wants to open their eyes in the middle of the night, she says. And 1 hour before midnight's worth 2 after.
What a shame. She missed the carol singers.
Christmas already, she says. Seems to come round quicker every year.
Joy to the world,
The Lord is come. Let earth receive her King.
Oh, hello, what's this?
What is it?
Oh, another fit. I thought she was too far gone for that.
Nothing we can do?
You do that one day, and the wind will change, and you'll stay like it.
Do you think she needs a doctor?
She should be in bed. I'll take her up.
Well, what good's that? She's nearly unconscious.
What good's she doing down here? That'll be the carolers. I'll say we're Muslims.
Give them a shilling from Joe.
A shilling.
I love the old custom, she says.
Here, from Joe. I had no idea she was so...
You must be going.
I had no idea she was so torpid. One thinks of a Mongol or athetoid or monoplegic. But, well, she really is so helpless.
Well, she's worse than usual. Aren't you, Blossom?
Action stations. It's
no one to talk to, have a cup of tea with. I don't encourage the neighbors. One thing can so easily lead to another with the neighbors. You find them taking advantage. So it is very lonely, hour after hour, stuck in like Joe Egg with no one to talk to. Why do so many cardigans? The poor might dribble. Not in the way a baby dribbles even, worse than that. After a few hours on, her garments are stiff with saliva, which means a lot of extra washing for her mother. And I've said to Sheila often enough, she should wear a plastic bib. It would be such a saving on wool. But there, you can't say a lot now, can you? That would be an interfering mother-in-law. I do believe if I said, Sheila, whatever you do, don't dress her in plastic bib. That poor mite would be stuck in a plastic bib morning, noon, and night like a blooming nun. And when we came out of the Odeon, I thought I'd go as far as Mrs. Perry Craig and drop in with my granddaughter's cardigan. And perhaps, if Ryan's not too busy, he could run me home.
Yes, right.
So I'm not stopping. And how's Nana's favorite girl tonight? Look what Nana's brought her. I'm fast asleep, she says.
She's poorly, very poorly.
Having 40 winks, she says.
She's all right.
An hour before midnight, we're 2 after.
That's what they say.
Let's see how it fits, shall we? Oh, wouldn't she be lovely if she was running about?
Beautiful child.
First time you've seen her?
Why, I brought her down.
Oh, you should have seen the shops this afternoon. I said to the lady in Scotchwell and Hosiery, you'll be glad when Christmas is over?
What did she say?
I certainly will, she said. But apart from the decorations, I said to Mrs. Perry, it does look nice. The turkeys and toys and toilet sets.
See Jesus?
Pardon?
Did you see Jesus?
Well, if I did, I didn't notice.
On the electricity building.
They'll drag religion into anything, won't they? Color's nice, isn't it? I think that sort of thing spoils Christmas.
Jesus?
I think it's a time for the children. Oh, Brian, do you remember the very first year I took you to see Father Christmas? I shall never forget it. He took one look at him and said, Mommy, I don't like that funny man. But you love the toy department. You used to say, oh, Mommy, I want it all. Can I have that money all to myself?
We took Joe to see Father Christmas. He stank of mess and he was handing out foam rubber pandas and patting all the little girls on their knees.
Why do you say these things?
It's true.
It is not true, they're vetted.
We've got one.
What?
It sits in any position.
Not the pandas, the other.
That was true. As soon as Joe sat on his lap, she had a fit. That stopped him.
Do you know? I believe I've acquired a little visitor. Not what you expect from the Odeon.
You got it here. Off our cats. We're infested with them.
Are you really, Sheila? Please do something I don't believe we've ever had. Can you remember, Brian?
An occasional woodlouse.
Not the famous fleas.
It's from Beatrice Webb. We keep her outside now.
I
what you said when he told you.
This is horrid.
Have you heard the car start?
I'll tell you.
I haven't, no.
I'll go and see.
I said, you must make up your own mind, Brian.
I'll bet you had a shock when he did.
Going to help Ryan.
Meaning what exactly?
Meaning you always made up his mind for him.
This is nice.
You spoiled him.
I must say.
You wrecked him.
Thank you.
Where's Freddie?
He's gone to help the car. It hasn't started yet.
Hadn't started.
Can't get it started.
You tried, I wonder? You're sitting in it doing nothing when I saw you.
Let me go in my car.
Or would you, him?
I should have gone before. Anything to get away.
Shall I come? Show you a shortcut?
No need.
Got the chitty?
What?
Give her the prescription.
Oh, it's yellow. It looks like Hester.
This isn't it.
£25 that car cost me, and after only 3 years, look at it.
You were never very clever with your hands. Look after your father there. Poor old thing used to spend hours on end behind the radiogram. And in the end, we'd have to call the proper man.
Great baby. Great coddled baby.
Now, Sheila.
The only way he knows to get what he wants is screaming and stamping his feet. Oh, but that's a bit grotesque at his age. So he straight away says, poor me, and nobody listens. So he makes some jokes and everybody laughs, which is better than nothing. So he makes more and more jokes, and when everybody's gone, I get the poor me again. I have to swallow that because you spoiled him.
I
Sheila.
kept the house for you, please. I admit that. I spring clean every year instead of once in 5. Certainly when he was a tiny mite, I used to press his ears back for fear they'd protrude. I boiled a kettle in this room for croup, made a mustard bath for the cold, and kept out the wind. I believe in an insulated house. It's still insulated, Brian. It's still home. You're welcome. I've told you that. Especially since I was left alone. Not so much home these days as a blooming nunnery. I'm stuck up there day after day like a blooming nun.
There you are. Poor me.
What did you say?
You're self-pity just like him. Poor me.
Wait till you're alone.
Well, why don't you move in with your friends?
Mrs. Perry.
Why not? There you are, each in your perfectly insulated houses. Each with your own TV, stove, lawnmower, an empty garage. Each complaining continually about being a blooming nun. What's stopping you?
You want your privacy.
Do you? I don't. I hate it.
Wouldn't do if we were all alike.
You see their selfishness? We're talking them again. Well, here's poor Jo. I think she's seriously ill, and what are we doing?
Has the poor mite ever been anything but seriously ill?
I think she needs a doctor. She's as white as chalk, but her lips are blue. Straining the heart, you see.
I'll take her to bed. Let her sleep it off.
Well, her chest is hardly moving.
That's such a flatulence, she says.
No!
Heartburn.
Leave her.
She ought to be in a hospital.
Well, I'll go if nobody else will.
Ought to have gone in years ago.
But don't let Brian touch her.
Then the marriage would have had a chance. You can't expect a man to take second place to a child like that. It's not his fault she's fasting.
What was that? Not his fault? Well, whose then?
No one.
Oh, come on. Come on.
I didn't mean that. Not your fault either. You can't help the family you were born into. When it's congenital, it's not your fault.
What is she talking about?
Fitz I'm talking about.
What?
Your uncle's Fitz.
Uncle Spitz? Which uncle?
Which uncle was it, Brian?
Mom.
You told her my uncle had fits?
You did.
Your cousin Jeff.
Infant convulsions. Well, what baby doesn't have infant convulsions?
Well, none of the babies in our family for a start.
I take that for granted, dear. Why did you mention my cousin Jeff to her like that? You know that
She'd
she
just
only...
been telling me about the epilepsy in our family.
I beg your pardon?
And I felt I had to consult her by mentioning someone on your side. You pick your time to throw it back, don't you?
Epilepsy in our family? Where did you get that?
From you, Uncle Neville.
Uncle Neville? Oh.
Yes, Uncle Neville.
Uncle Neville? He was never family. He just happened to marry Auntie May, that's all.
So our family's only epileptic by marriage?
Of course. But I will say this for May. She didn't have children. Mrs. Perry said to me, I think if you know there's a taint in the family, you should refrain from having children.
Well, she'd welcome any excuse. That walking sheep.
Don't you languish me. Honestly, Brian, you stand about like a mutt with your kiss on your mother in company.
Not you, Mom, Mrs. Perry.
My best friend.
You don't expect me to defend Mrs. Perry, do you? Nurse, we've done it, I tell you. With this, we can make whole continents bear. The deterrent they've all been looking for. Mrs. Perry.
I thought you were serious for a moment.
Come on. I'll run you home.
What? Back to the nunnery?
That's right, yes.
Thank you, that's gratitude.
I thought you said you couldn't start the car.
No, but if I crank it.
You mean you didn't crank it before?
I have a tartan grip. Where's my tartan grip?
Up there on the stairs.
Hey, what about Freddie? Or what about Drew? You leaving Freddie alone when we're with her?
Why? You going somewhere?
To phone the doctor.
I'll do that when I get back. If you really want to bother me.
No, we'll do it now.
I won't be 20 minutes.
Half hour if we're lucky. She'll make tea.
I can't stop for tea.
I've got Garvalin. I know
Look,
you.
I can ring from your place, all right?
When have I ever said no to you?
All right?
No, we'll do it now.
I'll phone the doctor.
Abe?
Well, you're taking your mother home from local phone box.
Would you, Freddie?
Surely.
You interfering bastard.
I'm trying to help you.
Help! You're a pain in the arse.
Has anyone
What
got
you're
a
suggesting
sixpence?
is no
I
way
might
out.
have
There's no other possible way.
Once not that, what anarchy?
That'd be something.
Suppose euthanasia was legalized and your daughter let die.
Yep.
Then 20 years from now, a cure is found.
You mean a brain
Well,
just
that's
starts
your
working?
brain.
Just imagine that. What?
A sixpence.
A 6-week-old brain in a 30-year-old body.
Nothing but half crowns and pennies.
My
What's a
back
6-week-old
hurts.
brain in a 30-year-old body?
No, some kind of grafting.
Crap?
They graft kidneys, why not
You
brains?
mean a grafted adult brain?
I don't know. Yes.
I
Any
see.
luck?
Say the brain of a woman who died at 30.
That's a milk check.
Maybe.
Whose soul do you think she had? And
That's
that
a half
question,
penny. Give
I
me a
think should go to
shilling.
our resident TV mini mission. Your Grace,
Oh,
would you like to say a few words?
You look.
You must have order, thou shalt not kill.
No.
Except when it shall
Here.
come to pass that thy trade route shall be in jeopardy.
Brian, have you got a sixpence?
Then thou shalt slay as many as possible of the enemies of ICI and General Motors.
Here, Freddie.
What's happening, Fred?
What are we doing? I'll call the emergency, the hospital.
Yes, of course. Needs urgent. We need an ambulance.
Put a coat on, though. It's bitter. And wrap up properly, too, Brian, if you're running me home. Going out of the warm on a night like this is the best way to catch cold.
ready, Mom?
What?
Ready to go, are you? Mom,
I'm getting ready.
put your coat on.
Aren't you going to put one on?
No time. I'll get the engine started.
You know what that engine implies. Get that started first.
Right!
What have you done with Josephine?
Not up there, not anywhere. He must have gone outside.
He was just here.
With Joe?
No.
Well, where's he gone now?
Out there?
The garden.
Ready, Mom?
What on earth's the rush? Have you got the car running?
Let's get in first. I can push if it won't go.
Mind you not strain yourself.
Put your coat on.
Sheila's just gone off to the garden after you.
Get a move on.
What have you done with the baby?
Me, nothing. Hasn't Sheila got her?
Sheila's looking for her. I've got to talk to Sheila about the cardigan.
No time. Come on, let's go.
Aren't you waiting for your friend to come?
Right!
Here's Sheila now.
No sign of them. It's snowing now.
Knowing? My lord, Brian, I should put something on.
Was he here?
Where's he gone now?
With Joe?
Must have gone to the car.
Did he have Joe with him?
No, he hadn't seen her. He was rushing me off my feet. But I said I must ask Sheila whether she wants anything else on Josephine's cardigan, apart from the sleeves. My lord!
There he is.
Sounded more like the gas. Did you leave the gas on? Why you don't let the cat in?
All this glass and stick.
What is it?
Must be upstairs.
Before the front door open.
Ah, they're sending an ambulance.
Front door's open.
I meant Pam coming in.
What a mess.
What?
Glass and sticky stuff.
The ginger beer plant exploded.
I thought it sounded more like the gas.
Told him to use a screw top. It gives when the pressure builds.
Nuisance. Anything like that having a life of its own.
Where is Brian?
Hey, he's gone mad. He's running about outside with Joe.
Outside?
You know it's snowing again?
We didn't see him.
The front door's open.
Snowing.
I think it's all over.
What's all over?
You look at her.
Oh, my poor Blossom. Oh,
What happened?
I took her outside.
And did what?
Nothing. Left her lying in the back seat of the car.
What for?
My word, my poor little word.
Something Mom said.
Me?
Just,
I never suggested
No.
On a night like this,
but you said.
is it likely?
You said it was bitter cold outside. I was going to leave her in the garden, but couldn't.
can anyone do the kiss of life?
I can't.
So I put her in the car.
Joe.
Don't know what I wanted. Stop them saving her again. When you went to
Can
phone,
you feel a pulse?
No, I can't. Oh, she's freezing. My poor dove.
The shock might have done
Come
it.
on, Joe.
Oh my lord, Brian. Whatever made you do a thing like that?
Has anyone got a looking glass?
Come on, my bird, my little dove. Come on.
Oh, Brian, you shouldn't. Not however bad she was. Poor little mite. You shouldn't deliberately do that.
Here's a glass.
Come on, sweetheart. Try for mommy. Come on, dearest love. Gonna be all right now. Come on,
Perhaps the glass isn't cold enough to get the condensation.
Come on,
A piece of plug.
What?
I bet it will show the slightest draft.
This is ghastly.
Joe,
Sheila and I rode with Joe in the ambulance. Mom stayed in Pam's car and waited for news. It was all stations go at the hospital. Voluntary women rushing everywhere with soup and Bibles. St. Bernard standing by. If there's anything heartening about such a disaster, I think it's the wonderful way this great operation of mercy has moved into action. And of course, the uniquely British optimism that in times of crisis seems to suffuse the whole nauseating matter. I remember when they first came in, that husband was shaking like some spineless dagger, but nobody knew quite what to do. Then one of the impressive lesbian nurses pointed to the African orderlies and said, "Pull yourself together, man. Set an example." Anyway, the Sawbones got to work with the oil can. I think there's a chance, nurse. All our work may not be wasted. And the upshot was, Mum's feather finally fluttered. I went in Freddie's car when he drove my mum back to the nunnery. She begged me to stay with her. "I'll fill a nice hot water bottle," she said. And when I stood my ground, "How about my electric blanket?" And I said, "No, Mum. Cheerio. I'll be in touch." And she said she liked the Fowler stove that I love so much because of the patterns of light on the ceiling. I nearly choked with longing for that. But I gritted my teeth and said no. The budgie must be fed. She said she had my old dummy in rattle somewhere. So in the end, I ran. Back at the hospital, Sheila could hardly stand, with anxiety and relief. So they gave her a bed for the night. Joe was staying in, of course. Freddie was a hoot, saying it was a lucky blessing and an escape and stuff like that. And just stared through the window at the snowstorm. And when we got here, thanked them for all they'd done. Then off they went, the three absolutely gorgeous kitties, a company director, every one of them. And the oil-fired heating, the labor-saving evergreens, the fiberglass yacht. I was glad to see the back of them. You can't think with that loud paver going on and on. Not that there was much to think about. Only details. Our marriage might have worked as well as most of Joe hadn't have happened. But I was too young for it. Well, this was true, of course. But Sheila might just have dragged me screaming into manhood. Instead of which, I was one of the menagerie. Oh, she loved me just as much as any goldfish or appelandra. So now it was a question of how to tell her I was leaving her. But when I went into it, I saw it wouldn't only be about Joe, but my ambitions. And the first time I saw Father Christmas, and, oh, this backpake's worse than yesterday, and the pattern of light. So in the end, I'd better just creep away without a word. So I've shaved, washed, packed the case. I haven't decided where I'm going. Up the smoke, perhaps. Get lost among the Australians. Ordinary way I'd be leaving for eyes front, hands on heads. But never again, I tell you. Want a nice, slow job. Gamewood. Keep her at Regent's Park. Better still, Kew Gardens. Well, cheers.